Welcome back, everyone, to the Victory Podcast. I am Steve McGrath alongside Chris Haddad, and today we have a very special guest. As a UMass Amherst alumni, nothing makes me happier than having another UMass guest on here. But we don't have just any other UMass guest. We have with us an All-American wide receiver, Biletnikoff Award finalist, 2018, this past year, his senior year, 102 catches, 1,698 yards, 13 touchdowns, led the nation in yards per game, led the nation in receiving yards, period. None other than Andy Isabella. Andy, thank you so much for coming on with us.
No, thank you, man. It's a pleasure.
Man, when you hear all that, has it sunk in yet? Like, you did that this year from UMass, a school that obviously isn't notoriously known for those high, guys putting up numbers like that. Like, has it really sunk in?
No, I mean, it's slowly sinking in. I mean, we were in LA yesterday, and I mean, I was just being out in LA with my agent and all that, and him setting everything up. It's just been very blessed to be in the position I am, and very thankful.
That's awesome, man. And I mean, just you were at the award show pretty recently for the Biletnikoff Award. What's it like going out to like these big time award shows where you're going out there, the next thing you know, you're on a flight back to Amherst to take a final?
It's been a crazy 3 weeks, especially with finals finishing up. But I mean, yeah, being in Atlanta was awesome. We met a bunch of NFL legends and a bunch of just very well put together people, and it's all coming. It's just all surreal, but very, very blessed.
Yeah, and you're coming back to campus now, and now you changed your major to what? Advanced mathematics, you were saying?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So what's that been like, going from red carpet to back to UMass advanced mathematics? I mean, there's got to be something. You got to turn one side of the brain off, and another side of the brain off.
It's tough, really tough. I mean, there's definitely times where I thought maybe I should just stop with the degree and maybe finish it when I'm done with football. But my mom probably would have killed me if I didn't finish my degree before I went and played football. So it was definitely hard going to class, especially knowing having all this other stuff going on. But you got to get it done, and the teachers were very understanding for the most part. So that was a big
and I'm sure that's been a whirlwind for your family as well, because you go to UMass Amherst advanced mathematics degree. I mean, when did the NFL really become in the limelight for you? Was it just this past 2 years? When did your family at least be like, hey, my son might be playing in the league next year?
I mean, I become a reality? I always had it planned out. I didn't know if it would happen or not, but I had it all planned out since I was maybe in high school. I had it all planned out, and it was a tough journey. But I mean, for my parents, I think it's just coming true. I mean, my dad got lucky enough to come. The agent was able to fly us both out to LA, and he's just he's loving the experience. I mean, it's good to give him something back, because he's done a lot for me in my life. So
yeah,
even just now, it's been just a whirlwind for both of us.
Yeah, once in a lifetime, man. It's like every day you just gotta cherish and enjoy it. You and your family. It's crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So obviously, as we talked about, you're our incredible ambassador for UMass, going out there and showing the entire country what UMass can do. But I wanted to know, what exactly is the Andy Isabella story for coming out of high school? We know that you were a phenomenal track runner, of course, a football player as well. What was your path to actually getting into the UMass program?
I wasn't a phenomenal track athlete until I was good at track. I ran high 10.9s my junior year, but I really turned it up after my football season, my senior year. And lucky enough, ran a really good time in the 60-meter. And I was actually helping. I ran for a track club team, so it wasn't really for the high school, even though it was through the high school. So I wore the Mayfield jersey, and I was helping out a friend that was his dad is a coach over at Cleveland Heights, and he had a player that was going to UMass, and he was like, well, let me send your film out to the UMass guys, and maybe they could do something. And right away they liked it. They wanted some speed. Coach Whipple was just getting in there, and he needed players. And he called me on the phone, and it was 5 days before signing day, and I had nothing really else except for the Air Force and a couple FCS schools. But I wanted to go D1. That was my dream since I was a little kid. So I mean, and I thought. At that time might have been crazy, but I thought the Air Force, I wouldn't be able to make it to the NFL because you have to do that serving stuff after. So I was like, well, UMass is my way to go. So I'm choosing UMass. And he called me on the phone. Yeah, Coach Whip. I was working out. Roski called me and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna Coach Whip is gonna call you." And I didn't really believe him because he had said this for a couple other coaches and they had never called me. But sure enough, I was working out and he called me, and right when he said, he's like, "Yeah, we're going to offer you a scholarship," and then he starts talking about he says, "Yeah, UMass is a good school," blah, and I'm like, "I'll take the offer," and he just stops. He's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, all right, see you later." I'm like, "All right, see you." And then on signing day, he calls me back. He's like, "Well, if you're really going to sign, I mean, I sent you the stuff," and ended up signing. He actually thought I was going to sign with Air Force, but no, that was my whole idea, was to go to UMass. So that's how I ended up at UMass.
Awesome.
What was the transition like going from Cleveland to Western Massachusetts, where there isn't really much out there besides UMass in the area you're in?
I mean, I was pretty determined when I got out there. We actually left right after the state championship for track, and it didn't really hit me. I was ready to go. I mean, I was ready for the next journey when my mom and dad dropped me off. But when mom and dad dropped me off, I mean, it was a whole different experience. I mean, you're going with college athletes that are like 22, 23 years old, some of these guys. And I mean, I thought I was walking into a place where I was going to get on the field right away, but I mean, it was the total opposite. I mean, I had to really work and gain Coach Whipple's trust to get on the field.
How much did your track career play into your football career? And I want you to phrase, I guess, your answer in a way that if a younger kid is looking to run track, but it's kind of on the fence about it, like, and you wanted to sell them on it, what would you tell them?
I'll tell them it's a great way to stay in shape for the season, and a great way to just build overall speed. I mean, track. I mean, you develop so many skills, and then you learn to play by yourself. I mean, I think that's a good thing. It's more on your own sport. So I think it's good for any athlete, any position to. I mean, it's just a great sport. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So you come to UMass and you actually start as a running back. What was it like for you just going from a running back, and we have UMass is probably thinking we have this really good athlete, but we don't really know how to use him. How do you go from that to having the season that you just had? How did you just make those jumps to converting to a wide receiver, and then not just being a useful one, but the best one in the country?
It was always in my back of my mind to be a receiver, but I was kind of hooked on the running back. I wanted to be a running back, so I got to UMass and was a running back. And my roommate was also a running back. We were both freshmen and came in, and they really liked him, even though like I would never talk bad about my reasons. We're good friends, but I mean, he never really worked. He actually transferred after the first year. But they would always give him reps over me, and it would always make me mad because he wouldn't even practice half the practices, and he would show up to practice and then get the reps, and I would always be the third string, and I would be more like the 6th, 7th on the depth chart. So right after camp, I knew I wasn't going to play running back, so I was like, man, I got to let me try some receiver on the scout team. So I started killing it on the scout team at receiver, and then I was like, and then they were like, well, if you want to move to receiver, let's move you to receiver. And then I kept doing my thing on receiver, and they ended up taking the red shirt off. Probably wasn't a smart thing because I didn't know any of the plays, which is, I would say, for all freshmen coming into college, that's the one thing they should do is really study the plays, because I didn't know a single play. They started me off on special teams, and then when they put me in on offense in the FIU game, my first play on offense was a reverse, and I broke it by a trip. I almost broke it loose for a touchdown, but I tripped and still got like 15 yards. But then the next play was a hurry-up call, and Tajay Sharp, now at the Titans, he was a receiver. He was a receiver at UMass when I was a freshman, and there was a hurry-up call, and I had no idea what I was doing at all. And I'm screaming at Tajay, like, what I got? What do I have? And he's like, he tells me what I have, but I didn't really know what to hear him. So I just ran to open space. And of course, the quarterback saw me because I just ran to open space. So he threw me the ball, and I didn't really see it, and it hit off my shoulder pads. And the coach was pissed because I ran the wrong route and I dropped the ball. So that was the last time I played offense that year, and I just played special teams the rest of the year, my freshman year.
Oh man, talk about a redemption story. Now you've mentioned Coach Whip. I just looked it up. 38 years coaching between college and NFL. What was it like, being coached by someone that had that much experience?
You gotta really gain his respect. You have to really gain his respect. I mean, I always did things the right way. I showed up to meetings. One of his meetings, he said he was mad. A lot of guys were showing up late to our meetings. I was never really a vocal guy, so I never really spoke out. If I would have redone it, I would have maybe been more of a vocal guy to get our teammates going and stuff, because I think that was a problem with our team. There wasn't that much discipline and stuff. But But when he said he was mad at in the meetings, he was like, well, he started yelling and saying, no one shows up to meetings. He's like, my favorite players are Andy, Isabella, and my other friend Brighton. He's like, these guys show up 20 minutes early to meetings, and then they're on the first ones on the practice field every day. And that was one thing that was big for me. I always did things the right way. I never got in trouble, and I earned Coach Whip's respect. And I mean, he's a great. He knows what he's doing. He's a great coach, awesome coach, and he believed in me more than I believed in myself at times. And I mean, it's really this season was just really me believing in myself instead of having him always believing in me for those first 2 year seasons.
But those things pay off, though, right? They go hand in hand with each other. Showing up, early for meetings, staying up late after practice, being to practice early, and then you're in the position you're in right now, not by accident, right? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
it's just hearing that too, those things, and I'm speaking from a coaching perspective. Like I'm hearing that, I'm like,
it's funny.
This kid can play for me anytime.
It's funny. A lot of guys, we have so many good speakers that come in, and a bunch of former NFL players, and I will speak to our players and will tell us all this great advice about how to get to where they're at and what not to do and stuff. And then you sit in these meetings and you would think guys would listen to what they have to say, but then they just do the complete opposite. I mean, if you just listen to all these great people that are telling you basically what to do, I mean, then they could have the similar success. I think that was one of my greatest strengths, was when all these very influential people would come to our school. I mean, I think it's an NCAA rule where you have to have at least six to eight speakers. And we had some really good speakers. We had a guy that was a Navy SEAL guy that was on the mission that the Osama bin Laden mission. He had a great speech, and he's telling us all these great things. And now he was a strength coach now at in the NFL for Houston or something. But and we had another great strength coach, Joe Conley down. He was at Arizona State now. But I mean, they give us all these great advice on how to be successful, and I think that was my greatest strength. I just really listened to what they had to say and utilized that.
Well, I mean, Coach Whip said that you were one of the hardest working guys he'd ever been around in his coaching career. So I think when you put in the time, it's safe to say that, you're going to get what you put in. But I wanted to ask you, UMass, for being a small program, over the past few years, you got to play Mississippi State. You went down to University of Tennessee, but Georgia this year, on the biggest stage, the biggest game against one of the best schools in the country, you go out there, 15 catches, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. What was it like for you to be able to go into, obviously one of the 4 best teams going to the playoffs this year, and you light them up? How much does that give you a sense of satisfaction that, yes, I can do this against the very best in college football, when I went into this game and they knew that I was the leading receiver?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to win, so I mean, it wasn't great on the scoreboard part, but I mean, overall, we're just playing every play. I mean, you can't really look at the scoreboard at the end of the day, and I was just playing hard like I do every play. I mean, that was basically it. And maybe they took a play off, and we beat them on those plays. So I mean, it was an awesome experience. We could have had a lot more, I think, in the first half, especially. I mean, if maybe Ross had a little bit more time, he could have saw me and maybe threw a couple more passes out there if he had more time, but. I mean, yeah, it was an awesome experience, and but yeah, they're just guys like us. They might be a little bigger, but I mean, they're just football players at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Andy, we got the Senior Bowl coming up. Talk to me a little bit about that, the expectations going into that, and what you have to do to get ready for that.
That's going to be a really fun time. And my whole family is going to come down to the game, and a couple other friends, and that's even adds fuel to the fire. And luckily, my agent is sending me down to Tampa to train with Randy Moss and Youll Murphy.
Oh, cool.
So I know those guys will get me ready to go in the Senior Bowl.
Definitely some good guys they'll be working out with.
All right. What's after the Senior Bowl? Is there anything on the schedule that you have planned? Is just more working out, kind of waiting for the draft?
Yeah, well, hopefully the combine invite will show up pretty soon, and then we're gonna be busting our butt for the combine.
You guys have a pro day at UMass that you're putting on, or are you going to go BC or anywhere?
No, they're doing the pro day there. I'll probably just most likely if I get the combine invite, which hopefully I will, I'll just end up. I might not even do anything there, but I might run some routes for the quarterbacks, but that'll be about it.
Okay, that'd be cool. So I got to ask, you're listed as 5'9", is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to give you a 5'10", but I wanted to check you first. So we'll go 5'9". Who do you model your game after? I know there's so many Edelmans, there's Amendolas, the Cole Beasleys. Is there anyone in particular that you model your game after, present or could be past?
Well, I like watching Brandon Cooks and Tyreek Hill and those guys. And hopefully I can take my game to their level one day.
That's right, baby. Looking at number ones, not just slots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys that can stretch the field on the outside.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you, just based off your UMass experience. Of course, you watch tape on NFL guys. I'm sure you watch some NFL in general. Is there like a certain type of scheme or a style of coaching that like you hope that on the next level, you get to fit into a certain type? Like, is there anything in particular that like I really hope that wherever I get drafted, they do X?
Mostly just maybe a team that spreads the ball around a lot and moves fast, and just a team like that moves the ball fast and spreads it around a lot.
Makes sense for a receiver. All right, so I need to ask though, to this point, what is the best advice that you've gotten going through, whether it's just getting better as a wide receiver in college, or even just advice for where you are now, where you're no longer, a Minuteman. You're in this funky period in between where you have to spend all this time getting ready to play for a team, and you don't even know what that team is yet. What's been the best piece of advice you've gotten?
That's a hard one. But I'm trying to think off the top of my head because I had something good that someone told me. But just off the top of my head, it's just keep going, and you never know what's going to happen. But if you keep going and working hard, I mean, I think God will bless you with what you deserve at the end of the day. So that's all I did was kept going. I never gave up, and lucky, very blessed to be in the position I am right now.
And this is the last one before we jump into the gauntlet, which we'll end on. What advice would you give from where you're sitting now to 16, 17-year-old football player that wants to make it to the NFL one day?
Well, I would say just never give up. I mean, I had coaches that would come into our high school and laugh when they looked at me and said, "This kid's going to play college football." I had friends laugh in my face when I said I wanted to play Division I. I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, I just kept working and was able to prove that. Not that it's anything to prove people wrong, but it's what I wanted to do. So if you want to do something bad enough, I think there's a way to always get to what you want if you work hard enough and just believe and keep going.
Awesome.
That's great. Yeah.
All right. So we have this last bit here called the gauntlet. I got a couple quick questions for you, and you have to give me your gut first answer. Andy, what's most important, having the number one offense or the number one defense?
Well, because nothing against our defense, but considering how our defense played this year, I would say the number one defense.
Defense wins championships, no problem there. Best hangout spot in Amherst.
Best hangout spot in Amherst. Ooh, I don't really do that much hanging out. The most hanging out I do is at the football stadium. So I'm gonna say UMass football stadium.
Fair enough. Well, how about this? Best place to eat in Amherst? Do you have a favorite spot?
The wings. You can't beat the hanger and the wings there.
Thank you. You're speaking my language. Now, what is your favorite football memory to date?
Best football memory to date. Ooh. Probably my first catch in the Florida game. It was a stutter go on the outside, and that was the first moment I knew I could play college football. And after I was lining up after that catch, I was lining up like I was almost invincible. And it was an amazing feeling, and I've had that feeling a couple times, but then that Florida game, that was like amazing feeling after that first catch. That my sophomore year, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's the first thing you're going to buy once you have a signing bonus?
Really putting them on the spot here.
It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Maybe just something small. I don't know if you thought about it at all.
Oh, I haven't thought. I would probably need a new car because I'm driving a Volkswagen. So maybe a little Volkswagen, a white Volkswagen Beetle. But I'll probably buy my mom and dad something. They probably pay off their house because they're almost done paying off their house. So I'll probably end up paying off my mom's house to give something back to them for everything they've given me. That's awesome, man. And you know what? Driving a car like that, it's only going to give you good memories of looking back up for what you have to put up with back in the day. If you could run one route, what is your favorite route on the tree? We call it a Puma and go. So it's like an outside stutter. And that was actually the catch versus Florida. And I mean, it worked every single time. And I probably caught like 15 balls on it, and like teams could never figure it out. It was crazy. You'd think they would figure it out, but coach kept lining us up in different formations so I could run it. And it worked. I mean, it worked almost every single time, unless they just bailed out as fast as they can.
What's that now? Is that like 8 yards? Give a little hit to the outside.
Supposed to be like, it's supposed to be like 12 yards, hitch outside, and then go.
Cool.
And,
nice.
Yeah, almost every time.
And in your opinion, what is most important? Is it the players on the roster, or is it the scheme?
Players on the roster. Players on the roster. You can't win with guys that aren't bought into the program and guys that don't care. I mean, you got to have guys that care, and maybe at UMass we didn't come together as a team. I don't think we ever did that in our 4 years there. And hopefully it'll change. I mean, UMass is a great program, and I mean there are great guys in the program, but guys got to really buy into the program if they want it to win. We can't have just one or two guys that want to win. I mean, it's got to be everyone. So
yeah. Well, I mean, Coach Whip did so much to get the program, D1 ready. So it seems like they're primed to take the next step, and hopefully that's something that they're able to do in the next few years.
Since I've been there from a freshman to a senior, I mean, there's been so many changes that people don't credit Coach Whipple for doing, but I mean, he did so much for the program that people don't see behind the scenes. And like I said, I mean, this new guy, I don't really know him, but I mean, Coach Whipple put him in a good spot to take over for sure.
Awesome. Well, Andy, thank you so much for coming on with us. For all of our listeners, you can find Andy on Instagram at Andy_Isabella23. We wish you the best of luck. Hopefully it's all good things. We'll be paying attention for the Senior Bowl, and obviously we'll be paying attention for the draft itself, and hopefully the combine too.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Best of luck, Andy.